Do we have any last final questions before we wrap up here? Yeah, in the back. 7,000.
I get I'm very much a supporter of representing what the colorist intent was post in people's TVs, but I also, and I despise all the gimmicks on consuming TVs that the
motion blur
and all that. Yeah. But at the same time, I like in my bedroom that I've got a dark environment. I'm not necessarily going to be able to mimic the ambient light environment that you're coloring in. So I like to be able to adjust that brightness, and I wonder if Dolby Vision or if any of that is taken into account with the television at the end to adjust for the ambient.
The viewing environment,
the time of day, and that sort of thing. Has any of that?
Yes and no. It depends. We're really in the teething stages on the consumer displays right now, and so like the Vizio reference series left. I think they pegged out the contrast in the backlight, but they left brightness. But instead of it being a conventional SDR brightness, it was exactly the kind of control you described, where it would simply push up the midtones so that it appeared to be a brighter image. I think the original LG from last year in its HDR10 mode blocked out all the controls. So it just kind of is a display-to-display thing. And I agree that there's going to be consumer demand for that feature, so I expect that it will be popular and people will buy sets that have it. And when they shop for them on CNET and things like that, they'll read the review, or it'll be a touching point. And if it's something that people want, then it'll get included.
So Rob, the tonal mapping, that the data that Dolby helps provide, is that set for just the peak setup of the display, or is there consideration for lower levels?
No, there's consideration, as you're saying, Joel. So
yeah, well, the Dolby stuff is really cool. It's got a lot of knobs, and it can do a lot of.
They go up to 11, right?
The HDR10 stuff doesn't have very many knobs. It just basically has what the floor and the peak was.
Yeah.
And so that's helpful. And in the mastering display gamut size, so that's very helpful. And HDR10 is going to be able to do some stuff with it to make sure that it translates well. But there's really no standard, no guidance on exactly how to do that right. And the Dolby Vision system has the guidance, it has more knobs, and should do a better job of it. Cool.
Thank you.
I had a Vizio demo. I had a Vizio demo in Beijing of Dolby Vision Vizio, and there was a setting.
Vizio in Beijing. Huh. Name is bad.
Anyway, yes.
It was North American only product. I don't know how they had. I guess we shipped it over there probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did I just
I was just trying to figure out how it got there. That's all.
The one you sent me to.
A very rich man in Chinese
Oh,
customs.
it's right in our office.
Yeah. It was a demo in your office. But I was going to say, that question came up, and we were in a dark room, and I'm like, so are we just seeing this completely properly? And it did have a setting for I am in a dark room, and they actually had changed its peak output, so it wasn't blasting.
So one of the requirements for a Dolby Vision device is it must have we call it a reference mode, but we allow the TV manufacturer to set it, and that basically is put this in the exact standard of the SMPTE 2084 spec and use the metadata as the artist said to replicate that artist environment.
No matter what.
No matter what. Then the other mode is, we know you've got ambient issues in your home with your drapes open or whatever else. Pull it up so you can see a decent image.
Interesting.
So both of them will move that tonal mapping and the color gamut accurately, but give the user a control to say, give me absolute fidelity and I'll control my environment, or I need a little help so I can get an image that's we're sitting in front of
Do the
watching.
manufacturers do that, or do you provide that info?
That is a requirement to have a Dolby Vision device. So you can't call it that unless you
No, but I mean for the lower settings. Yeah, so I know that.
Oh, to go even darker?
No, like, so, yes, to go darker, not brighter, so.
Yeah, there's basically the reference setting that the artist used,
Yeah.
which would mimic a DI suite.
Yeah.
And then anything above that as the manufacturer wants to allow it to happen.
Okay.
Well, guys, we could go on, obviously, for hours and hours and hours about this, but hopefully this sums up a little bit, or helps you figure out some of the details facing here. Can we get a really warm round of applause for our panel? So, I'm sure come back, all of these issues will have been figured out. Everybody will know what's going on with HDR. But until then, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the week and for attending Post Production World, and we'll see you next year. Thank you.